The Call is a thrilling and suspenseful film that explores the themes of time travel, regret, and the consequences of altering the past. The story highlights the interconnectedness of the two women's lives and the haunting repercussions of their actions. Seo-yeon went back to her village to take care of her mother, who was sick. Seo-yeon had lost her phone on the train. To locate her phone, she found a cordless phone and used it to make a call. Surprisingly, the person on the other end of the line wanted a reward to return the phone. Motivated by this interaction, the girl decided to track her lost phone using a Track My Phone app. However, later that day, she received another call from the same cordless phone. A woman on the line asked for someone by name and mentioned that something was wrong. When the girl, named, replied that it was a wrong number, the call was abruptly disconnected. The following morning, Seo-yeon visited her mother at the hospital and then went to visit her father's grave. Her father had passed away in 1999. That night, she received another call from the mysterious lady asking for someone. When Seo-yeon questioned the caller about what she was talking about, the woman became angry and hung up. During the night, while Seo-yeon was sleeping, she heard a sound. When she woke up, she decided to investigate the sound. As she delved deeper into her investigation, she stumbled upon a hidden secret room in the house. In the secret room, she found a box with a picture of a girl. The next morning, she went to the Sungho, showing the picture and asking who the girl was. The Sungho replied, "She is Young Suk. Later that same night, she received an unexpected phone call. The voice on the other end was trembling with fear and desperation. It was Young Suk. My mother is trying to burn me," Young Suk whispered urgently. "Please come and save me." Now with the woman pulling the Young Suk by the leg as she tries to run away from the steps. The woman is holding a lighter, intending to burn her daughter. Cut from there, Seo-yeon saw smoke coming from the secret room. The following morning, Seo-yeon received a phone call from Young Suk. Young Suk's voice carried a mix of disappointment and concern as she asked, "Why didn't you come yesterday?" Seo-yeon was taken aback by Young Suk's response. It seemed as though their experiences were intertwined in some inexplicable way. They shared the same room, the same house, but somehow existed in different times. The realization dawned upon Seo-yeon, leaving her with a mix of astonishment and apprehension. As the pieces of the puzzle slowly fell into place, Seo-yeon started to comprehend the gravity of their situation. She understood that their connection transcended ordinary boundaries, allowing them to communicate across time. With a newfound understanding, Young Suk and Si-yeon had an emotional heart-to-heart conversation over the phone, despite living in different time periods. It was November 21st, 1999, and Young Suk was in her room. They were surprised to discover that they shared the same likes and dislikes, which brought them closer together. However, their conversation was abruptly interrupted when Young Suk mentioned that her mother was entering her room. In a hurry, she abruptly ended. The story then shifts to 1999, when Se-yeon, accompanied by her father and mother, was interested in buying the house. When Se-yeon saw Young Suk and their mother in 1999, she was around 10 years old and was scared to see Young Suk. Young Suk called future Si-yeon, listening to her father's voice on the other end, and Se-yeon was crying out, trembling. Young Suk asked Se-yeon over the phone if she was shocked to hear her father's voice. Young Suk then suggested that maybe she could save Si-yeon's father from a deadly fire accident. The date is November 27th, 1999, which happens to be the day Si-yeon's father dies. She escaped from the house to save Si-yeon's father in 1999. Si-yeon anxiously waited by the phone, anticipating a call from Young Suk. When Young Suk successfully saved her father, Si-yeon noticed that the entire house had transformed before her eyes. She observed changes in her clothes, the appearance of the house from the outside, and even the overall ambiance. This was all a result of Young Suk altering the past. Outside, Si-yeon found herself in the gardening area where her mother was watering flowers. Her mother looked at her and remarked, "You're not doing anything, only sleeping." Meanwhile, her father walked in, engrossed in a conversation about a particular type of flower. Si-yeon stared at him, her eyes brimming with tears, realizing that she hadn't seen him for many years. Later that day, Se-yeon called Young-suk to express her gratitude for saving her father. She conveyed her astonishment, admitting, "I never imagined he would be back in my life." Se-yeon went out with her parents, but when she returned, she noticed that her phone had been ringing. She quickly answered it, only to find out that Young-suk was on the line. Young-suk had been eagerly waiting for Se-yeon to pick up the phone for hours, and she was very disappointed when she didn't receive a response. Suddenly, Young-suk's mother realized that Young-suk was engaged in a phone conversation. Concerned about the potential consequences, she took the phone from Young-suk's hand and sternly warned her not to call Se-yeon again. Young-suk's mother believed that Young-suk was possessed by a ghost, and out of desperation, she resorted to extreme measures to try and rid her daughter of the supposed spirit. She tightly bound Young-suk to a chair, hoping to immobilize her during the exorcism-like ritual that followed. Young-suk, terrified and in pain, pleaded with her mother to stop, driven by her belief in the supernatural, began to subject Young-suk to various forms of torment in an attempt to expel the ghost. She mercilessly beat her daughter with a stick, causing Young-suk to cry out in agony. Young-suk, bound tightly to the chair, shook in pain and fear, unable to escape her torment. In the midst of her suffering, Young-suk's body convulsed, and her face contorted into a twisted expression. Mother gripping Young-suk's face tightly and began uttering incantations or prayers. In that moment, something unusual happened. Young-suk's mother had a vision, a glimpse into the depths of her daughter's troubled soul. In this vision, she witnessed Young-suk engaging in malicious acts, suggesting that something more than a ghost might be at play. Se-yeon warning from the future. In her research, she saw Young-suk's mother intended to kill her. Determined to prevent this tragedy from happening, Se-yeon decided warned Young-suk. With that warning, Young-suk killed her mother before she has tried to kill her. She called Se-yeon, hiding the fact she killed her mother. "Everything is okay, me, and my mom talked." Young-suk, overwhelmed with sense of rebirth, embraced the opportunity for a fresh start. She decided to change her appearance, adopting a new look that reflected her newfound freedom. Young-suk, feeling liberated, ventured out to a local shopping mall. Sung-ho went to deliver strawberries to Se-yeon in the present day. As a family friend, he was warmly greeted and invited into the house, where they all sat down to enjoy lunch together. However, the story took a strange turn when Sung-ho went to deliver the strawberry to the year 1999. He arrived at the same house, but this time it was Young-suk who lived there. Sung-ho rang the bell. Young-suk answered the door, wearing a peculiar wig on her head. She invited him inside. As Sung-ho attempted to place the strawberries in the refrigerator, he opened the door and was horrified to discover that it was filled with body parts remnants of Young-suk's mother. Realizing the gruesome truth, Young-suk watched as Sung-ho made the connection, understanding that she had killed her own mother. Meanwhile, back in the present day, Se-yeon received a call from the same phone number Young-suk had used in 1999. Trembling, Sung-ho's voice came through the line, pleading for help. He warned Se-yeon that Young-suk was going to kill him. Filled with a mixture of fear and determination, Se-yeon rushed downstairs to find Sung-ho, but he had vanished without a trace. When she inquired about him, nobody else seemed to remember him at all. It was as if Sung-ho had never existed in this timeline, leaving Se-yeon confused and desperate to uncover the truth. In 1999, the police were investigating the disappearance of a person named Sung-ho. They went to the house of Young-suk, who was acting as if she had no knowledge of him. The interviewing officer, however, harbored suspicions about her. He meticulously recorded her inconsistent responses in a diary he carried along, her stories changing with each question he posed. Meanwhile, in the present, Se-yeon, making calls to the past, dialed 1999. She confronted Young-suk, asking, "Did you murder your mother and Sung-ho?" Young-suk vehemently denied her accusations, but Se-yeon held the trump card, a newspaper from 1999 that reported Young-suk's imprisonment for her crimes. Desperate, Young-suk pleaded with Se-yeon to find out what evidence the police had against her. However, Se-yeon abruptly ended the call. Young Suk, enraged, dialed back, reminding Si-yeon favor she'd performed for her in the past. When Si-yeon refused to engage, Young Suk flew into a rage, smashing objects near her. Meanwhile, Si-yeon severed all connections to the mysterious phone. Young Suk's calls went unanswered, and a sudden knock at the door startled her. She feared it might be the police, but it was Si-yeon and her father, standing at her doorstep. Young Suk, seeing them, let a villainous smile creep onto her face. In the present, Si-yeon's father permitted her to drive his car. Tragically, as she drove, she witnessed her father's sudden death, a heartbreaking event that left her devastated. Unbeknownst to her, back in 1999, Young Suk had murdered her father in a fit of rage for not answering her calls. Si-yeon returned home to a world dramatically altered by her father's death, a direct result of Young Suk's actions in the past. However, the phone from the past began ringing again. When Si-yeon picked up, seething with anger, she was met with Young Suk's cold voice, gloating about having just killed her father and taunting, "Now you know how to pick up the line." Young Suk then issued a chilling warning. If Si-yeon didn't reveal the evidence the police had against her, she would also murder Si-yeon's mother in 1999. Si-yeon had embarked on a daunting investigation to uncover evidence to connect Young Suk to murder. Through meticulous examination, she had discovered that the police had retrieved the knife that Young Suk had used to kill her mother. The knife, still bearing Young Suk's fingerprints and traces of blood, was a critical piece of evidence that could potentially link her to the crime. Fueled by a mix of determination and desperation, Si-yeon contacted Young Suk and revealed her findings. However, in a twist of fate, Si-yeon mistakenly provided incorrect information about murder weapon whereabouts. She mentioned a place called Hwasun, where a tragic fire accident had occurred in 1999. Misleadingly, she informed Young Suk that she needed to be there at 5 p.m., coinciding with the time of the fire accident. Unaware of what was to come, Young Suk followed Si-yeon's instructions and arrived at Hwasun, anxiously waiting for it. As the minutes ticked away, Young Suk heard a commotion outside and decided to investigate. To her surprise, she discovered a group of abandoned puppies, their innocent presence contrasting the tense and uncertain atmosphere. Meanwhile, Si-yeon anxiously awaited news of the unfolding events. Suddenly, the phone rang, and she swiftly answered the call. However, she found herself speaking to a younger version of herself. It became evident that Young Suk had captured and confined the young Si-yeon in the basement. The voice on the other end of the line belonged to Young Suk, who had miraculously survived the fire accident. The realization sent shivers down Si-yeon's spine. Young Suk went into a state of uncontrollable anger and intentionally poured scalding hot water on Si-yeon in the past. However, the consequences of this act reached beyond the present moment. In an inexplicable turn of events, Si-yeon's body underwent a transformation, merging with the hot water from the past. Young Suk revealed the truth about Si-yeon's father's death. Young Suk made it clear that Si-yeon's mother was not responsible for the tragic event. Instead, she pointed out that it was Si-yeon herself who unknowingly played a role in her father's demise. As Si-yeon listened to Young Suk's confession, her emotions were in turmoil. Si-yeon went to the police station to find the diary the police had when Si-yeon got the diary, and she took it to the same house in the present. Young Suk, in the past, found the murder weapon and killed the homeless man who had taken the knife. When she killed the homeless man in the past, the writing in the diary from the future started to fade away. When Young Suk destroyed the murder weapon in 1999, once again the house changed in the future before Si-yeon's eyes, altering its interior and overall appearance. Si-yeon observed multiple refrigerators now occupying the house, and overwhelmed by an eerie feeling, hastily made her escape from that place. When she read the diary, the police officer and Si-yeon's mother went to look for Si-yeon in Young Suk's house in the past. In the present, which is 2020, Si-yeon went back inside the house. There is an older version of Young Suk in the house. The show switches back and forth between the past and the future. In the past, the police and Si-yeon's mother are investigating the house. In the future, Si-yeon is trying to figure out what is happening. She sees a bloody bath chair. In the past, the police ask, "Young-suk, can we use your phone?" When Si-yeon's mother calls, Si-yeon picks up the phone and warns her mother. But in the future, Young-suk discovers Si-yeon and hits her on the head. Police asked Si-yeon's mother if her husband had answered the phone, but she said no, although she heard her daughter's voice saying, "Run from here." As soon as Young-suk heard this, she killed the police officer. The story is coming to an end as Si-yeon and Young-suk finally meet face-to-face and immediately start fighting. However, the phone is still ringing. Si-yeon gets injured in the leg, but she takes the phone and hides in a room. While the phone is ringing, her mother answers, and Si-yeon gives her instructions on what to do. However, Young-suk finds Si-yeon's mother and kills her. Now Young-suk is trying to kill both the past and future versions of Si-yeon, but Si-yeon's mother returns from death and kills Young-suk in the past, in the year 1999. By doing this, she saves present Si-yeon and future Si-yeon as well. Present Si-yeon searches everywhere for her mother but does not find her. Then her mother shows up at her father's funeral site. She has some marks from Young-suk from past in the neck, but she still survived. The scene cuts to the future, where a Young-suk contacts the 1999 version of herself using the same phone. She urgently warns her about the police and Si-yeon's mother. Despite the perilous situation, Young-suk managed to survive, and now we see Si-yeon tied up in a chair in the same house. The story continues with a dramatic twist. For Part 2, The Call.